So in this segment, we're going to be talking about Donaldson, who is going to be the new leader of the DUP, accusing the Irish government of being a cheerleader for the Northern Ireland Protocol, which obviously, the Irish government are obviously cheerleaders for the Northern Ireland Protocol because it stops a hard border going, a hard border within the island of Ireland, and also keeps Ireland within the single market and the customs union, the EU single market and customs union, which that, as much as we've talked about in the past, that's not going to change. Ireland's position within the single market and the customs union won't change because of Brexit, which means that the only way to stop, if the Northern Ireland Protocol is suspended or whatever, then it allows goods from the UK to go into the EU, which is a problem. Especially if we're going to diverge from standards. So the arguments that this guy Donaldson makes are so stupid because if he has a problem with the logistics of the Northern Ireland Protocol, then the answer is simple. He has to push the UK to get a veterinary agreement with the EU. That's the answer, and he's not doing that. Instead, he's getting mad at Ireland and the Taoiseach, which is really stupid and counterproductive, which is, this is exactly what the UK want the DUP to do, which is go blame Ireland and the EU and not blame the Westminster government for the problems which ultimately was caused by the Westminster government. So the new leader of the DUP has accused the Irish government of being a cheerleader for the Northern Ireland Protocol and for one side and supporting one side of the community. So he's saying that the Irish government are just kind of throwing red meat to the Republicans within Northern Ireland, which you could argue, A, that's not an issue if that was the case, and B, that really isn't the case. They're trying to protect, their own kind of place within the single market and the customs union. So again, a very stupid argument from this Donaldson fellow. Donaldson said he plans to meet with the Irish government at some stage, which is good news. Dialogue is always good, but if he's going to just constantly just throw stones at him, it's not going to be very productive. He said Donaldson says, "I want to make it clear to the Irish government that their cheerleading for the protocol is simply not acceptable." I mean, the Irish government aren't massively celebrating it; they're just saying it's here to stay. They're not saying "suck it, DUP." The Irish protocol's here. Your place within the UK's single market for goods has been threatened. Buy your goods from us because you can't buy it from GB. They're not saying that, are they? Donaldson, you clown. He goes on to say, given the harm that he's doing to Northern Ireland is dragging our politics backwards. Do you know what's dragging your politics backwards? Your party. That's the reason why you're going to tank in the polls, or you are tanking in the polls. That's the reason why Sinn Féin are going to do a lot better in the next election next year. That's the reason why the Alliance Party and the other ones will do a lot better, because you're the one causing the problem. You're the ones dragging the politics backwards, like this guy. Unreal. Mr. Donaldson said the Irish government needs to step away from being a cheerleader for one part of the community. I mean, they're really not. They are really not telling you, they are really not berating you, are they? They're not saying suck it, are they? They're just saying the Northern Ireland Protocol is here to stay. That's the most I've seen from the Irish government. Donaldson goes on to say if the Irish government is genuine about protecting the peace process, which they are, and protecting stability in Northern Ireland, then they need to listen to unionist concerns. I mean, they have done, and they've said get a veterinary agreement, and most of the issues are gone. You're the one who's not listening. You're saying, oh yeah, you guys aren't, you guys are threatening the peace and you don't want stability here. The Irish government says, look, do this and things will be more stable, and the DP like, no, we don't want to do that, the EU sucks. This guy, bruv, Donaldson, is like, it's very hard to tell sometimes if someone's being malicious or a clown, and certain people like Donaldson kind of very, very close to being one side or the other, and it's very hard to tell. I'm going to say this guy's a clown, but yeah, you read into it how you will. Donaldson goes on to say, if the Irish government is intent on harming our relationship with Great Britain, again, they're not, and they haven't done, so another stupid argument, then it cannot expect that it will be business as usual on the North-South relationship. I mean, what are you going to do, pal? Because at the end of the day, if you're the one who's scared about Northern Ireland being dragged down, politically and dragged backwards, stop doing it. It's literally you. As Michael Jordan said, stop it. Get some help. He goes on to say, if the Irish government continues to support the imposition of a protocol, so an imposition The word imposition means the action of being something being imposed. Now, the Northern Ireland Protocol was voted and supported by the British government. So, how can he argue that Northern Ireland want to be closer to Great Britain and more aligned and stuff like that when it was Great Britain that actually imposed the Northern Ireland Protocol? It wasn't the EU, it wasn't Ireland, it was the UK. So, you want to be closer to the country that has imposed the Northern Ireland Protocol onto you. All right, cool. If that's the way you have to square the circle, then fine. But you're very dumb, bro. You're very dumb. If that's the argument you're going to make. Donaldson said it would not accept for them to be one side of the argument, and he accused the Irish government of just listening to the nationalist side of the argument and not listening to the unionists. I mean, the EU have consistently listened to the unionists. You guys just keep saying dumb stuff. You guys are talking about sausage wars and all this stuff when, the end of chilled meats was agreed to by the British government. Again, your problems with the EU are not problems with the EU. Your problems are with the British government. Like, I don't understand why it's so hard for these DUP people to understand that. Maybe they can't blame the British government because they want to be closer to Britain. I don't know. But these guys are just, it's painful listening to some of these characters, Frost, Donaldson, Poots, all of these guys, because it's like, they're blaming the EU for the problems that the British government created, and you're like, bro, like, why is it taking you this long to understand, like, the problem is you, not the protocol, or the Irish government, or the EU. The problem is the British government and you guys for causing problems. I don't get it. Donaldson goes on to say, we need the Irish government to get back to a place where it respects the rights of the unionists. I mean, the Irish government haven't threatened the place or the rights of unionists. They haven't. So I don't get what this man is talking about. And the people of Northern Ireland generally to be part of the United Kingdom. I mean, the Northern Ireland Protocol doesn't really stop that, does it? The main reason why checks can't happen is because the checks are causing massive problems is there aren't the facilities or the staff to deal with it. If you sign an SPS agreement and stop threatening to diverge from EU standards, it will be fine. But you don't want to do that, do you, you clown? Donaldson says, and not to have barriers to trade within our own country. I wonder who put those barriers to trade in place. It was the British government. Like, come on, dude. Stop lying to people. Donaldson was endorsed by 32 of the 36 members of his party's electoral college, so it's got quite a big endorsement. He was elected unopposed, so he had a straight, clear run at it, which is interesting. Donaldson said that as well as working to deliver on healthcare, waiting lists and post-pandemic economic recovery, the really important things, he says tackling the Northern Ireland Protocol would be his priority. So not, reducing waiting lists, not helping people because of, COVID-19, not focusing on the economy of Northern Ireland. His priority is going to be focusing on the Northern Ireland Protocol, the S6 one. You really care about Northern Ireland, the people there. This is not just you playing politics and having an identity crisis. Ridiculous. Donaldson said the protocol undermines Northern Ireland's place within the Union and is doing enormous harm to the economy. I mean, it is doing some harm, but that's mainly because, we don't have the British companies don't want to export to Northern Ireland because of all the paperwork. Like, that's the fault of, British manufacturers not wanting to front up the costs. If the government wanted to help these companies, then the government would do, and that would help lower tensions, but they don't. So again, you're aiming at the wrong person and you're missing constantly. It's just shocking. Donaldson said his priority was to right the wrong that has been done by the imposition of the protocol and restore Northern Ireland's place fully within the UK's internal market. Well, if that's the case, buddy, you need to speak to the British government and get them to join the what's called the single market and the customs union. That's what you have to do, because that's the only way to restore Northern Ireland's place within the UK's internal market. That's the only way you're going to do it, because if you take the other routes, it's not going to end well for anyone. Donaldson said he has not yet made the decision, but they will consider what is in the best interest for the people of Northern Ireland. Again, very nebulous. But apparently Boris Johnson, before Edwin Poots left, made Poots some promises regarding the Northern Ireland Protocol. We're going to cover that at some point soon. Today, Jeffrey Donaldson said it was not a sustainable position for the British government to concede to Sinn Féin's demands and go over the heads of the Assembly, while at the same time not addressing concerns over the protocol. So what he's saying is, I'm very angry that the British government has gone over our heads to do something regarding, I think this is the Irish language provision. Yeah, it mentions up here the Irish language legislation. I'm really angry the British government went over us on this, over our heads, but then they refused to do that. So regarding the Northern Ireland Protocol, they refuse to go over the heads of Sinn Féin and other groups. Gee, I wonder why. I wonder why they can't go over the heads of Sinn Féin and other elected MLAs to deal with the Northern Ireland Protocol. Is it because the ramifications are going to be far worse? Like, come on, man. Honestly. Meanwhile, speaking on RTE radio, the Taoiseach, Michael Martin, said he knew Mr. Donaldson well, and that the parties in Northern Ireland need to work together to overcome the current difficulties. Again, there's hardly any cheerleading statements there. It's pretty straightforward, standard politics stuff here. The Taoiseach said the most important thing is that the institutions created under the Good Friday Agreement are protected. That means, no hard border within the island of Ireland, especially the Assembly, the Executive. Every party needs to work towards keeping them safe, and that's the thing. Like, he's saying we need to protect the Good Friday Agreement, and the way to protect the Good Friday Agreement is not to do all this saber rattling and stuff like that. He says there are difficulties at the moment, but we must work together to deal with Brussels and the Commission on the one hand and the British government on the other. So, he's taking the diplomatic kind of dialogue approach of, we need to work with each other and speak to, alleviate the problems, which isn't cheerleading or, saber rattling or anything, is it, Donaldson? It's just a guy saying, yeah, let's talk and work things out as best we can. He says it's vital that the British government and the Commission work together to resolve the issues with the protocol. Again, no cheerleading, very standard, beige politics speak. There's some more interesting stuff down here, but I'm not seeing any cheerleading here from the Taoiseach. Can you see it? Because, it's just Donaldson talking rubbish, and Donaldson, saying that, I don't want to escalate tensions, but then escalating tensions. He doesn't make sense. Fine Gael's spokesperson for European Affairs said the protocol isn't going anywhere, and is the product of the absolute disaster of Brexit, which is true. The DUP supported Brexit, and the Northern Ireland Protocol is a product of Brexit, which is something the DUP failed to understand repeatedly. It's embarrassing how badly they can't figure this out. Neil Richmond, saying that but ultimately the Northern Ireland Protocol is here to stay. This is Neil Richmond reacting to Jeffrey Donaldson's comments, saying the Northern Ireland Protocol is here to stay. Obviously, it is. It's an international agreement signed by multiple different parliaments. That's not going to change if we, breach part of the Northern Ireland Protocol, which we've already done. There are going to be ramifications for that, whether that comes through as a sanction or or some other form of punishment. Most likely that's going to happen. The EU are already taking legal action against the UK and could be further. There won't be any further legal action by the looks of things, because there is going to be an extension to the chilled meats thing. I think that's already happened. I'm not 100% sure, but it looks like that's in the works. So the EU won't have to take legal action again, but they have taken legal action against the UK already, overtaking unilateral action. I think it was in March and April. So the Northern Ireland Protocol isn't going anywhere, and the UK, if they start suspending bits of, if they suspend parts of the Northern Ireland Protocol or invoke Article 16, at that point things get very scary. But Neil Richmond said, ultimately, he said, the Northern Ireland Protocol is here to stay. The protocol isn't going anywhere. It's a legal agreement signed by both the British government and the European Union. It was passed by the the Irish Parliament, both houses, unanimously, and it's something we are supportive of because it provides certainty on the island after the absolute disaster that is Brexit. Because, like I said, in previous videos and probably in this one, what happens if you suspend the Northern Ireland Protocol? Do you take Ireland out of the single market and the customs union? That's not going to happen. Do you put a hard border within the island of Ireland? That's not going to happen. So the Northern Ireland Protocol has to work because the other two options are non-negotiable. So that's the problem. The Northern Ireland Protocol is going to be forced to work because the EU won't allow a backdoor of UK goods getting into the EU single market via Northern Ireland. That's not going to be allowed to happen. So again, I don't know how this ends, but it's not going to have a great ending, to be honest with you. And I think things may get violent, and I hope it doesn't. I really do. But there'll be people in the comments that have far more knowledge about Irish history and the possible scenarios that could happen if the Northern Ireland Protocol is suspended. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see what happens in this situation. Mr. Richmond said the most obvious and glaring changes that could be made to the protocol was a veterinary agreement, which is something we've spoken about a lot in previous videos, which would see 85% of the checks currently required on goods going into Great Britain from Northern Ireland removed overnight. Some government figures put it at 90% of checks going overnight. 85% still a massive number, and that would help solve the logistical problem with the Northern Ireland Protocol, which is that would allow goods to go into Northern Ireland from GB far easier. But the problem is this isn't just about logistics, this is about politics. And it won't solve the political problem, which is the border within the Irish Sea, the trade border. And so even if we did get a veterinary agreement, the people in the DUP would still be causing problems. I think the best thing to do is hope the people of Northern Ireland vote in better officials in their election next year, and that the DUP are far less powerful, and that the powers that be actually start listening to people within Northern Ireland and understanding the situation a bit better, but telling the people within Northern Ireland that the only way the issue of the Irish sea border is going to be resolved is if the British government actually promise to adhere to EU standards, which will reduce the checks overnight. That's what has to happen here. If the UK refuses to, get some alignment with the EU, then the problems remain, and these people will still be on the path of violence, and that is not what you want to see. The DUP are a bunch of headbangers, but they're scary. People actually listen to them in Northern Ireland, and it doesn't take a lot of people to create a riot, and that is terrifying. Given that this, Northern Ireland there has been a history of violence there. It wasn't that long ago that things were violent. It's been peaceful for what, about 20 years, about 20 years and some change. That's not a long time when it comes to, international politics. It really isn't. The troubles lasted far longer than I think we've had peace in kind of the post Good Friday Agreement era. But yeah, anyways, I've rambled on a bit. Let me know what you think in the comments below. If you have, knowledge, I know quite a few of you do have knowledge about Irish history. Let me know what you think is going to happen from here, with the DUP still saber rattling and blaming the Irish government instead of the British government. What do you guys think of that? Let me know in the comments below. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.